of the storm. The sun was going down. The air was warm and still. Let's go across the lake, Jesus said to his friends. Jesus had been helping people all day, and now he was tired. So they left the crowds at the shore and set out a small fishing boat. Jesus climbed into the boat to take a nap. As soon as his head touched the pillow, he fell fast asleep. It was a beautiful evening. A gentle breeze rustled the sails. His friends were chattering happily as they headed out into the middle of the lake. Everything was perfect, just right for a nice, quiet sail. They were only about halfway across when, out of the nowhere, whirling winds swept across the lake, fierce and strong, like a hurricane. A blinding flash of lightning lit up the sky. Thunder roared right overhead. A storm blew the water into towering waves that hurled up the little boat up, and then sent it hurtling, crashing back, down. The fishing boat was blown and buffeted and tossed and turned back and forth and up and down and left and right and round and round. In the middle of the storm, Jesus was sleeping. Now Jesus' friends had been fishermen all of their lives, but in their years fishing on this lake, they had never once seen a storm like this one. No matter how hard they struggled on their ropes and sails, they could not control their boat. This storm was way too big for them. But the storm wasn't too big for Jesus. "Help!" they screamed. "Wake up! Quick, Jesus!" Jesus opened his eyes. "Rescue us! Save us!" they shrieked. "Don't you care?" Of course Jesus cared. And this was every reason he had come, to rescue them and save them. Jesus stood up and spoke to the storm. "Hush," he said. That's all. And the strangest thing happened. The wind and waves recognized Jesus' voice. They had heard it before, of course. It was the same voice that made them in the very beginning. They listened to Jesus and they did what he said. Immediately the wind stopped. The water calmed down. It glittered innocently in the moonlight and lapped quietly against the side of the boat as if nothing had happened. The little boat bobbled gently up and down. There was a deep stillness and a great quiet all around. Then Jesus turned on his wind-torn friends. "Why are you scared?" he asked. "Don't you forget who I am? Don't you believe in our fears instead of me? Did you believe our fears instead of me?" Jesus' friends were quiet as the wind and the waves. And in their hearts came like a different kind of storm. "What kind of man is this?" they asked themselves anxiously. "Even the wind and waves obey him," they said, because they didn't understand. They didn't realize yet that Jesus was the Son of God. Jesus' friends had been so afraid that they only seen the big waves. They had forgotten that if Jesus was with them, they had nothing to be afraid of. No matter how small their boat or how big the storm.
They were terrified and asked each other, "Who is this? Even the wind and waves obey him." Mark 4:41.
The fishing boat was blown and buffeted and tossed and turned, back and forth and up and down and left and right and round, and in the middle of the storm, Jesus was sleeping. But the storm wasn't too big for Jesus. "Help!" they screamed. "Wake up! Quick, Jesus!" Jesus opened his eyes. "Rescue us! Save us!" they shrieked. "Don't you care?" Jesus stood up and spoke to the storm. "Hush," he said. "That's all." And the strangest thing happened. The wind and the waves recognized Jesus' voice. They listened to Jesus, and they did what he said. "What kind of man is this?" they asked themselves anxiously. "Even the winds and the waves obey him," they said, because they didn't understand. They didn't realize yet that Jesus was the Son of God. They had forgotten that if Jesus was with them, then they had nothing to be afraid of.